Gorgeous Georgian goes delivering another MMA superstar. This time it's Tyrell Fortune, who's going to be fighting Matt Mitrione at Bellator 262 on July 16th. So that's a week from this Friday coming up on Showtime, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. They're slotted in the co-main event. What's up, Tyrell? How are you?
Doing good, man. Just here resting up, getting ready for practice, getting ready to fight next week.
Yesterday, and he says you guys have actually practiced together. He likes you. He hopes to have a beer with you afterwards. It's nothing personal. It's just business. But he says, make no mistake, we'll be trying to punch each other in the face and get violent with each other. How is that fight versus somebody who I guess you're sort of close with? I don't know the exact relationship you guys are. You know, if you guys are homies or just, you know, you pass.
Oh, no, we're friends. We're definitely friends. I was the wrestling coach down there in the Black Zillions for like 9-10 months between the transition between Kenny Monday and Greg Jones. And so most of that time when I was down there, I was working with Matt. So we developed a good relationship. And like he said, there's no ill will here, but it's just business. You know what I mean? We got to go out there and perform, and that's our job. And definitely we're going to have a beer, talk, and chat and chill afterwards.
There you go. Back then, did you even have a hint that you guys might fight? Was there even some joking around about that?
No, they were trying to convince me to fight. I was wrestling on a USA team. I was still in college wrestling, so I had no aspirations at that time to fight. It wasn't even like anything I was considering. I was making good money just training fighters in wrestling. So I was like, I don't need to go get punched in the face if I'm making this much money. I'm on the USA team, traveling around the world. I'm good right now. It wasn't until I want to say a year later, Bellator approached me with a contract, and I was like, oh, okay, this is enough for me to fight.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you something. You know, you're 10-1, and your first 10 fights was 9-1. What do you think? I think that's amazing, by the way. 90% win, you know, is great in MMA. That I've always told people, if you get to 8-2 in your, 7-3, but preferably 8-2 in your first 10, I think you're going to be in this for a long time. 9-1 or even 10-0, I think you have a really good chance of wearing a strap one day. How would you grade your first 10 fights, and what are you looking to accomplish in your next 10 as a goal, I guess?
I mean, if I had to put a grade on my first 10 fights, I'm a harsh judge. And for me or myself, I always, if I compare the fighter I am today to that fighter back then, I have to give my grade like a C, I guess. It was just growing up, trying to get my footing in the game. It was kind of getting catered to a little bit in the first few fights, not having any amateur or any fights and any sort, but any experience, but anything but wrestling. So it was kind of, just a learning curve for me in those first 5-6 fights. So I would say I would grade myself about a C.
In the next 10 fights, is it just about wearing a belt? Is it stacking paper? Is it both? Or is there even a third goal that people don't know about you of what you want to accomplish, not just in these next 10 fights, but in your career? What drives you? Next
10 fights, definitely the goal is to wear the strap, and because that brings the money. I'm in the sport for the money, and I love competing. I'm a competitor at the end of the day, so the fact that I get to one-on-one get into a cage and compete with another man is super exciting for me. So no, definitely wearing the strap, staying undefeated, or staying in the win column in those next 10, and I think I should be the champ within the next 4 fights. I can't really see me fighting 3 or 4 fights without getting that opportunity. I think I get Matt, and then I beat Matt, and then I'm gonna call out Tim. I don't see why I shouldn't get that rematch now, especially that he's had a loss and where we at in the rankings. And then after that, I think it's Moldavsky, because that's who he just fought. I beat Tim. I get to Moldavsky. Moldavsky is waiting for Bader to see what happens in that lightweight tournament. If Bader loses to Corey Anderson, then he comes back and we find out what happens between them this year. If he wins, then that's going to prolong it. I'll definitely get a shot at Moldavsky for the interim title. So just seeing how these next few weeks play out with the other fights and stuff is exciting to see what could happen next.
You don't know how refreshing it is to hear a fighter give us a future outlook of what they want to accomplish, so that us as media and the fans that watch can attach themselves and root you on. You know what I mean? Maybe not media, because obviously media is going to be objective, but the fans. I mean, I always say when the week's done and we watch the fights on Saturdays, Goat and I are fans, honestly. We're betting you guys and everything. But I say it's refreshing because there's a lot of fighters who go, I'm only focused on, the fight that's coming up. And it's like, oh, my gosh. No, I want to hear more about you, and you just gave me a great timeline. I want to beat Mitrione. I want to right the ship with Timothy Johnson. And then he lost to Moldavsky, so it benefits me to get in there. And then you talked about Bader. That shows someone that loves their career, the sport. They get it. They get the landscape of what's happening in their division. It's really, really refreshing. It's been a while since I heard it the way you put it.
Thank you. I think you have to – during my week of the fight with Tim Johnson, I think I was so focused on that media side of like growing my name, getting my name bigger and trying to become this star. And that kind of took away from the fighter aspect that I really needed to be focused on. So now, just like the question you just asked me is probably the only thing I think about outside of preparing for a fight is, okay, what's next? What is the real goal? What am I shooting for? What do I want from this sport? And that's what it leads to the answer to those questions.
I love it too, man. It's human nature. I think we all do it in our lives. Just to be a little silly, there's times where I'm eating breakfast and I'm already thinking about what I'm eating for lunch.
Right.
So I'm always thinking one step ahead. But when we talk about vision and visualization, I know you can't give away your strategy, but at the end of the day, how do you see this fight ending?
Oh, I'll give you the strategy. I don't think it matters because, like I said, we're friends and he already knows me wrestling. I know his wrestling background isn't as like mine, so I'll have to use that. I'll be an idiot if I don't. That's my ace in the hole. So I'm gonna put. I think the one thing I've been working on outside of just involving my wrestling game all around is boxing and the pressure and being able to get into that pocket and execute. So definitely, my first thing is just wrestling and attacking his cardio and getting in his face, putting that pressure on him.
You talked about getting in the sport to make money. We've had some fighters say that. And some of them stay true the whole career, man. And then some of them say, you know what? When they put that belt on me, I did shed a little tear. What do you think is going to happen with yourself if you get that belt put around your waist? Will you get emotional a little bit? Will it mean something, or at the end of the day, is it just all about the money?
I just want the money. I know that belt equals more dollar signs. So, yeah, if I'm going to get emotional, I'm going to be crying because I know I just made some more money. So that'll be the only emotion you're going to see out of my face is dollar signs in my eyes. So, I just think it, for me, like growing up the way I did and coming from nothing and just now being this athlete in this sport that I never had any aspirations for at first. I was just training and working out and wrestling. I started wrestling in the 3rd grade and I just became good at it. So I just kept dedicating myself to it. And I had no idea that it was going to take me to fighting in Bellator. So the fact that it is for me, it's like, yo, how far can I go? If I just keep putting work in, where can I go? Where can I end up to me? So for me, it's just exciting to see for myself, like how far can we go in this sport? What's next? Like, can you become the world champ? Can you do 2 divisions? Can you do things that no one had thought about before? So that for me is just it's the money. The belt is cool, but the money is what changes my lifestyle. And the belt gives you that too.
Tyrell, I'm about to say something, and I hope it doesn't lead to the one day when we do see each other and you throw me through a window or a wall. I'm calling slight bullshit, and I'll tell you why. I know you wrestlers pretty good. You're very competitive just with the teammates alone as to who's going to fight this weekend, or whatever. And that's why you guys can pretty much fight anybody, because in wrestling, you fight your own teammates along the way. I see how emotional guys get when just making the 8 at All-America is a huge achievement, for those that can make it, much less compete for the national title or whatever. But I'm going to point to a guy who kind of said something similar, King Mola Wall. I don't know how well you know him. He's a good friend of ours.
I've known him since I was 14 years old.
He used to say the same stuff. And then remember, he came up short at the Olympic trials. He was winning, and he lost at the last minute.
Yep, to that.
Yeah, and so he had these moments where when he had a chance to, keep competing at highest levels, he came up a little short. But when he won the Strikeforce title, he couldn't even stand. He was shaking. And I remember he had tears in his eyes, man. And he was so happy that he had won something. He really, really held on to that belt. I'm not saying that's going to be exactly you, but I bet you there will be some emotion. And we'll revisit it. Maybe you'll say, hey, guys, you were right. But we'll see, man. Just like I said, I've seen a lot of the wrestlers kind of go through that. And I think it's because you guys have this mentality where you're so focused and driven, you know what I mean, that maybe you're not as emotional as other types of athletes, that compete in team sports and all, the only thing you think about is holding up the trophy or whatever. But we'll see. I'd love to revisit it with you in a few fights when you do get to that point.
You haven't seen me lose some money. I get real emotional. Real fucking emotional.
Well, we'll see. I mean, maybe it'll be both, Hey, here's another question. If you had beaten Tim Johnson and you were undefeated right now, do you think he'd be as good? Like, did that step backwards allow you to take 2 or 3 forward? A lot of fighters tell us that, that they feel like they're unbeatable and everything they're doing is right. And maybe they stop listening to the forces around them, coaches, mentors, teammates, or whatever. What did that do to you, and how do you think it affected your growth?
It definitely evolved me as a fighter in the sense because, like I was saying earlier, my focus got so much onto building my name, trying to get recognition. I was just focused on a different aspect of the game that really shouldn't have been my focus at all. And I think because I had that ESPN interview that went really well. I had TMZ calling me that week of the fight, and man, I had busted my knee with Bader wrestling. I tore my meniscus and MCL in one knee. Then Ed Roof, because he fought that same card, ripped a knee bar on me on the Wednesday of the fight week and tore my ACL and PCL in my other knee. And I had COVID I just got rid of COVID on Tuesday when COVID wasn't even a thing, but I had the flu for like 14 days. All this leading into that fight. And there was no way, because my head was so big at the time that I was like, I'm not pulling out. And my coach was like begging me, Tyrell, hey, he got COVID on Monday. When we got to Oklahoma, he didn't even train me the whole week of the fight. And he was still telling me like, hey, we shouldn't do this. And I'm like, yo, if you're going to pay my bills for the next 3 months, then fucking we pull out. But right now, this is my job. And sometimes you got to work when you're sick. You got to go to work when you don't feel good. And I think that was that wrestler's mindset that I was carrying into MMA, where I was just like, I can't back out. I can't stop. I can't postpone. And going through that experience with all those injuries and having more my mind was, and Tim beating me really helped me reset and understand, okay, man, my focus first has to be on this fight and preparation for this fight. If I can't prepare properly for this fight, I can't step in this cage and expect to win this fight. So I think it just made me grow up a lot more and really focus where my attention should be at.
Love it, man. Keeping it real. Love it. Thanks, Tyrell, for the time today. I want to wish you the best of luck with whatever camp is left here before Bellator 262 on July 16th. Safe travels, obviously. And hopefully we can speak again and revisit the emotion, the money talk when you win that strap one day, or at least when you're competing for the strap. We'll see how it goes, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Have a good one, Tyrell. Take care.
Thank you.